All right, so today's theme is self-loathing. This photo, I want to show you this painting behind me. I'm in my office on the mainland because I have two offices. One is on the mainland in Westford, Mass, and the other one is in Nantucket. So this painting behind me is an amazing painting. It was done by my friend Robert McKee. And that is, it's a dog. And it's very cool. That is a guardian dog, and he keeps us from going too far into our psyche, to go in too far beyond what we're able to understand and to know. And then see that horizon light blue? That's us. And so when we really get into know ourselves, we'll discover that we're beautiful and we're wonderful. But sometimes it's a process, and we can't go in too fast. So sometimes there are themes in the energy that have been happening since this new paradigm, and which started in 2008 for sure, really strongly. 2010 was a big hit, and then 2015, summer of 2015, it felt like the majority of us were in this new space, whether we knew it or not. So sometimes a theme comes up in the morning and I'll know it, I'll feel it, and then I'll find myself talking about it with people. Clients will come in, it'll be the same theme, self-loathing. And I actually posted something on Facebook. It was a funny picture that came up of me and a friend, and I'm super tall. I'm not super tall, I'm like 5'8" and a half now because I'm shrinking a little bit. But in that picture I have high heels on, and I'm next to a friend who is shorter than I am. And I remembered about my issues, my self-esteem issues around my height. And I was also super skinny. I was like a string bean, and I think actually some people call me bean or string bean. And so that sort of posting that, I was laughing, but then it brought me to this place of, wow, I was just posting like, yeah, it was really tough being that tall. In middle school, I started at 5'7", and then I went up to 5'9" by the time I was in high school, and how I was very self-conscious of my height. And then I was talking to some other people about self-loathing. That was the theme that came up. And so this eclipse that just happened is appearing to trigger us all to look at and to feel discomfort with our own self-loathing. Before we did it, I think it was just part of it. It was these stories that came at us, whether it was from parents or schools or peers, social media. Well, it was before social media was even so huge, but growing up, we would look at movies, movie stars, people that were successful. There were these stories about, in order to be successful, you have to do this, this, and this, right? Cultures, we've all run into that, right? Oh, if you're Italian, you can't be successful because of this. If you're Irish, you can't. If you're African American, you can't. If you're Native American, if you're female, there's all these isms that exist. And we participate in the isms because if you feel bad about yourself, if you carry that ism in yourself, then you're adding to the isms. And so that is this piece that we're getting rid of. We have to, because the vibration that we all want is ascension, is like high vibration. And I explain that by looking at H2O, right? We typically call it water, right? H2O. If you slow down of the vibration, it's ice. Like you think about ice, right? That's the slowest vibration. If you speed it up by adding heat to it, I'm not going to get super technical, just want you to understand the concept. It becomes water, it moves. And then if you speed it up even more, it becomes steam. And then it's to the point where it's evaporation. It goes up and like you don't even see it, okay? We're moving through those levels as humans. So when we have a major shift, sometimes a big change, then we bump up against some of the lower vibrations that cannot be maintained in a high vibration state. And self-loathing is one of them. I was talking to someone today, and this is what we're working on. If you go to the refrigerator and you grab a carton of milk and you just swig it, right? Because we all have, you just swig it, and it's bad, and you're like, ugh, like you have this reaction like, ugh, I'm not gonna drink that anymore. Like that's bad. I just viscerally, I get it that that's gross and disgusting, and I don't want to consume it. I don't want to put it into my body. It's bad. That's what we're starting to feel about self-loathing. So we're even having this phase of like, not self-loathing or self-loathing, but kind of, where it's like, oh, that just feels horrible. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. And here's one little story that happened to me this last weekend. I like to forage for mushrooms, just a few different kinds that I know are safe to eat. And chicken of the woods and hen of the woods are two of the kinds that I like to forage for. So last year, right behind my house here where I live on the mainland is conservation land. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful trail called the Peace Trail. And I found a huge chicken of the woods mushroom. It was amazing. Harvested it. I'm like, whoa, this is so great. And then a couple days later, I saw another chicken of the woods. Took a picture of it because I didn't have anything with me to harvest it. I went home and I looked at the picture again and I saw pine needles in the mushroom in the picture. And there's a thing around not harvesting, or my understanding is not to take mushrooms off of pine trees. So I was like, oh shoot, that's not going to be a good mushroom. All right, whatever, I guess I just won't go get it. And then a couple days later, I was walking in the woods again and I noticed that it was not on a pine tree, that in fact it was on an oak tree, and I could have harvested, but at this point it was too late. Well, I started beating myself up over about it. I was like, why didn't you look better? You should have come out. That's an amazing mushroom. And I'm not kidding you, every time I walked the trail, whenever I would start walking up to where that mushroom was, and now it's all like totally depleted and like just like barely anything there, but just the remnants, just like those teasing remnants of like, you could have, you know, if you had done the right thing, you could have eaten this would have been amazing, but you missed out because you made a mistake in your thinking. So every time I walk by that, I have this moment of like, which you could translate it to self-loathing. Like I was super hard on myself about why didn't I go back and get that mushroom? So before the eclipse, without realizing, I was walking through and I was thinking, okay, I'm coming up to that tree again where the remnants of that chicken of the woods mushroom was that I could have gotten. And I started laughing and I just said, you know what? The universe just keeps providing. You didn't lose out. Like, you need to just relax and look at that. And instead of being hard on yourself, right, / self-loathing / whatever, super judgmental, just relax and say the universe keeps providing chicken of the woods mushrooms. They'll just keep happening. So I was walking with my partner and we were and I said to him, I said, well, let's go down this other trail. We haven't been down this side before. Like, we just don't typically walk down there. And we walked down there and all of a sudden I hear him say, what is this? And there was a chicken of the woods mushroom. Now, granted, it was a little past, so we couldn't harvest it. But I started to laugh and I thought, the one time when I opened up and I wasn't hard on myself, when I said, you know, this is easy. The universe provides. Like, there will be more chicken of the woods mushrooms. Just relax. When I flipped my energy to relax, that's when my intuition kicked in and said, well, let's go down this side trail that I haven't been down in years. Let's just walk down it. I feel like there's a reason. And there was a mushroom there. So it was really cool to remember that, the more positive I am, the more I live in unconditional love and acceptance and expectancy of good things to happen, that will happen. So heads up to anyone who is feeling a lot of self-loathing. Today is the 23rd of August. So if you're feeling that, it's good. That means you're ready to get rid of it. It means that it's up for you. And like that sour milk, when you pick up a concept of self-loathing, when you start to be negative on yourself, like I was doing at that mushroom tree, it's not going to feel so good. You're going to be like, ooh, ugh, ugh. And I talked about in my last video about feeling the difference, knowing what they can be subtle as we begin to understand them more, but you're going to be done with it. So congratulations. As uncomfortable as it's going to feel when you realize how much self-loathing you've had, I mean, it is super uncomfortable, and yet let's flip it. Let's stay in the positive because it's moving. You're noticing it because you've expanded, you've ascended into like a higher vibration, like the ice cube. You're going from ice cube to water to steam, and eventually like evaporation. So congratulations, stay on it. You're beautiful. All is well.